Being a round 1, 13th pick in the NBA draft isn't anything to laugh at, but it's certainly not what we expect when it comes to the elite of the elite. Somehow Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns is proving this isn't necessarily the case. The 24-year-old is quickly rising in the NBA and fans are paying attention. That is why we are breaking down 10 things that might shock you about Devin Booker. Number 10. Basketball games. One thing many fans may not know is that Devin isn't the only Booker family member to be familiar with the court. Booker's father, Melvin Booker, played professionally in the NBA from 1994 to 2008, including for 2 seasons and 3 different NBA teams. These included the Denver Nuggets, Houston Rockets, and Golden State Warriors. In interviews with Melvin, he said, "In my eyes, Devin's always been a star. It's just the world is catching up with him now because he's playing at this stage. I always thought Devin was one of the top players in the NBA and he had to win it for everybody else to see it. We had a great year, we're in the finals, and now the world gets to see him shine on the biggest stage." Number 9. The post. Devin Booker is 6 feet 5 inches tall and was pretty much always tall. In fact, as a kid, he spent a good amount of time playing the post before he ultimately moved on to becoming a shooting guard. Even after he switched positions, he invested a lot of his practice time into his post work, such as footwork and shot making on the block. That has clearly paid off big time for Booker. At this point, Booker shot 52.5% and averaged 1.08 points per post-up possessions this season, making him the 10th most efficient player in the league with at least 50 such possessions. That is a monster number and one of the primary reasons that he's quickly becoming a shining star in the NBA. Number 8. Off the bench. The 2014-2015 Kentucky team had a lot of talent on the squad. The team finished the season with a 38-1 record, losing in the Final Four to Wisconsin in the NCAA tournament. 9 members of that Kentucky team had NBA experience or are currently playing in the league, which is pretty remarkable. At that point, no one knew who Booker would soon become. In fact, the former Kentucky Wildcat didn't start a single game and averages 21.5 minutes in his lone collegiate season. That didn't stop him from shooting 41.1% from three-point range in the Wildcats' march to the Final Four. After just a year, Booker and a number of his teammates joined the draft and went into the NBA. Number 7. Symbolic Start. After being drafted 13th overall, Booker's NBA debut took place in Phoenix on October 28, 2015. That was the same night that former Sun great and Hall of Fame point guard Steve Nash saw his name and likeness enshrined in the franchise's Ring of Honor at halftime. Phoenix didn't do well in his honor, losing to Dallas 111-95, but Booker provided an intriguing silver lining. The then 18-year-old finished the game with 14 points on 6 of 7 shooting in 21 minutes. 4 seasons later, Booker became the Suns' first All-Star since Nash. The irony was pretty uncanny, but may also point to an even bigger future for Devin Booker. Number 6. 3-Point Contest. The league noticed Booker's shooting stroke immediately and invited its youngest player to participate in the 2016 3-Point Contest. The 19-year-old rookie acquitted himself well, reaching the final round before ultimately losing to Klay Thompson. Booker returned in 2018 and won the contest, besting Thompson with a record of 28 points in the final round. And by the way, that 28 is currently the record for most points won in a single round. This season was to mark his 5th appearance in the competition before ultimately pulling out due to an injury. Number 5. Latin American Roots. Booker's maternal grandfather was an immigrant from Mexico, a fact that Booker has grown to appreciate even more since being drafted by Phoenix. On multiple occasions, he has referenced the culture-strong family ties, something he has inherited and embraced in his own life. He said to reporters, "Some of my favorite times as a child was my mom whipping up the original Mexican dishes that she learned from her father, or when we get the chance to visit my grandpa on the weekends in his city and having him cook for us. I think the moment everybody found out that I had Mexican in my bloodline, I got on social media and started seeing younger kids of Hispanic descent reaching out to me and saying, 'You're my favorite player. If you're Mexican and you made it to the NBA, I can too.' So just trying to inspire in that type of way and keep representing the heritage. Let these kids know that especially with the NBA today, it's not one race, it's not one culture." Number 4. 70-point record. Back on March 24, 2017, Boston led Phoenix by as many as 26 points. That is until Devin Booker stepped in and shocked the audience. At only 20 years old, the rookie surged in the second half, hitting on drives, pull-ups, and three-pointers. The Suns cut the deficit to 10 before ultimately falling 130-120, but not before Booker became the youngest player in league history to hit the 70-point mark. He joined Wilt Chamberlain, David Robinson, David Thompson, Elgin Baylor, and Kobe Bryant as the only ones to score that many points in a single game. There is no telling what other records he might smash as his career progresses. Number 3. Tattoo. Booker admired many iconic shooting guards growing up, but Kobe Bryant's game and competitive edge held a special place in his esteem. Bryant noticed the young Booker as well, especially when he tried to use one of his own patented post moves against him in Bryant's last career game at Phoenix in 2016. The Lakers legend laughed about that sequence in post-game comments to the media, but he shared a private moment with Booker himself. That meeting included a gift, a pair of signature shoes on which Bryant had written, "Be legendary." Booker has since gotten the phrase tattooed on his arm and admitted his idol was very much on his mind when he scored 47 points in Game 6 to eliminate Bryant's former team in the first round of the 2021 playoffs. Number 2. Peer approval. Booker's arrival as a star may seem like a foregone conclusion. When Booker was 20, Kevin Durant said on the Bill Simmons podcast that he wanted the Thunder to draft Booker in 2015. When Booker was initially left off of the 2020 All-Star roster, Damian Lillard voiced his hopes that Booker would take his spot when the Blazer star suffered an injury that would keep him out of the game. When the same thing happened in 2021, LeBron James via social media proclaimed Booker the most disrespected player in our league. Booker is capable of some pretty magical things on the basketball court and has shown that since he was drafted by the Suns. After all, he was the youngest player to ever score 70 points in an NBA game. Like many, James is on the Booker bandwagon, and it's a bandwagon that is going to get pretty full if the Sun star keeps playing at an elite level. Of course, James wasn't the only one who spoke out when Booker didn't make it into an All-Star game. CJ McCollum spoke out on Twitter writing, "Devin Booker didn't make it? That's crazy. Really cold, too." Also, DeMar Carroll wrote on his own Twitter, "D-Book has been robbed without a gun. This is unacceptable, period." While not everyone in the NBA expressed their outrage at the move, there were plenty who rushed to support Devin Booker. However, he is a somewhat controversial figure in the NBA, and many fans are split on their opinions of him. Number 1. Playoff ready. While Devin Booker may be considered one of the league's most disrespected players, there is no doubt that any questions about how Booker's scoring would translate to the postseason were answered swiftly. After averaging at least 25 points over the last 4 seasons, he averaged 29.7 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game, while shooting 48.8% overall and 42.9% from three-point range in his playoff debut, and Phoenix's 4-2 series victory against the Lakers, the franchise's first series win since 2010. When Devin Booker went into the playoffs during the 2020-2021 season, he had been waiting about 6 years. Of course, his first game against the Lakers had proven to be a challenge, but Devin Booker was ready. This moment had been a massive one for the player and has helped propel him into the upper echelons of the NBA. Of course, we'll just have to wait and see what happens next for Devin Booker. But what do you think of Devin Booker? Is the basketball star going to go down as one of the greats, or will he continue on the path he's on now as an above-average player? Let us know in the comment section below, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. This has been our breakdown of 10 things that might shock you about Devin Booker.